Perhaps we start with what has just happened, that is the ZD Trader program launch that has been officiated by the head of state, President William Ruto. Now, what happens is that at the Nairobi Security Exchange, what will happen is that you will now be able to trade on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, both shares and everything, using your Safaricom app. The president has just launched that together with the CS Treasury, that is John Badi, and the chairperson of Nairobi Securities Exchange, that is Kiprono Kitoni. That has just happened. But away from that, something that is supposed to happen today is that Parliament, the August House, is reopening. Both the Senate and the National Assembly after a long recess. Of course, a lot, full entry. And as we are waiting for them to reopen, we are also waiting for a showdown that has already started. That started actually yesterday after the Council of Governors accused the section of the County Public Accounts Committee of harassment and extortion. Those were made by the Council of Governors yesterday, and the chairperson, that is Moses Kajwang, Senator Moses Kajwang, did say indeed we will continue to oversight that. And they even threatened to stop the county funds. What is happening between the governors and the senators? We will be crossing over to Parliament and hear a word from Senator Moses Kajwang. Well, something else that is happening is World Radio Day celebration, and for the next couple of days, actually beginning from yesterday all the way to the 13th, right here at the Broadcasting House, KBC, we are also holding the Radio Week, where we'll give you an opportunity just to interact with your radio presenters, and also a part of history, and especially for KBC that has a long and illustrious history in matters radio and media. Something else that is happening, Safer Internet Day. So we have a loaded day, and my colleague Regina is currently keeping tabs with that. And Chinese New Year celebration, a lot to delve into, but also we also need to look at what has been happening, especially in the education sector, where we have a number of grade 10 learners who have not yet joined school, despite government talking about over 99% transition. We'll be looking at that. Remember, the head of state did say that whether uniform, whether the lack of fees, students should be in school. A lot said. Many thanks indeed for joining us. My colleague on the sign language interpretation is Lucy Mwaura. Allow me to rope in my panel of experts who are already here, beginning from my immediate left. Thank you so much indeed for joining. A good friend of mine, Leonard Kafafa, who is a public policy analyst. Karibu sana, Leo. Asante sana. Of course, we will be delving a lot into do you remember the Singapore journey?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so we will be looking at also the infrastructure and the social wealth, the fund that, remember, they have to go through Parliament, of course, public participation as well. Just next to him, we have Tolsten Alenga. Karibu sana, Alenga.
Asante sana.
Good to see you again.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I haven't seen you this year. At least you've been with Leo. How have you been, my brother?
Fantastic.
We have a full intro. I don't know where actually to begin. Maybe we should actually begin with... I was expecting my colleague Abdi Aziz in Senate to also be engaging Senator Moses Kajwang in regards to that. My director, Mugo Kariuki, will be informing me when we'll be crossing over, because we did see a showdown yesterday. We did see senators weigh in on the conversation that the governors brought in yesterday by the Council of Governors. If you do remember, they accused a section of senators from the County Public Investment Committee and said they are harassing us, they are extorting us. Gentlemen, there's a showdown that's looming between the governors and senators, and I do remember yesterday, even the senators, they did say, if at all governors don't show up for these grilling sessions, we'll halt county funds. Are they able to do that? And what is bringing up all this conversation between governors and senators? Leo?
By law, I think Senate is mandated with oversight over the counties. Yeah. That is by law. Mm-hmm. And when the senators summon governors for grilling, that is part of but that is part of their remit, part of their mandate. They're just executing their duties. And from where I sit, if a governor does not have anything to hide, then he doesn't have to fear being shaken down, quote unquote, shaken down by senators.
Just kindly hold the thought, because we just joined us. This is KBC. News Check. Remember, it's also Radio Week, as I mentioned, as we began, and a lot of activities here at the Broadcasting House in regards to that. But away from that, let's go back to our topic of conversation. And just as you said, we had just started that conversation. That is Leonard Kafafa. Allow me to reintroduce them. We have Leonard Kafafa, we have Tolson Alenga, and now we are joined by Engineer Jackton Achieng Mwamba, who not only is an governance and policy expert, is an honorary secretary of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Karibu sana, engineer.
Thank you very much, Troy.
Leo, apologies, we had to cross over to Bunge, but quite interesting things that the senator so composed, and he says we are following the law. You know, if you're mismanaging, you're not using the money. Actually, he has used one of the, I would say, a little bit harsh word by saying they should understand, the governor should understand that this money does not belong to their kings, actually belongs to the people of Kenya. From what we have heard from the governors and what we have heard from the senators, what exactly is happening? You know, they should appear by law. And the IG, you know, the moment that we have mentioned the Inspector General of Police, it just shows you how hard that the senators want to come down and ensure that oversight is done.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. As we were discussing, in fact, before that interlude,
yeah,
if senators have nothing, if governors have nothing to hide, then they need not fear appearing before Senate.
Yep.
As Senator Kajwang has mentioned, lots of senators have actually honored summons. Lots of governors have actually honored Senate summons, and they've appeared before Senate, and they have answered whatever query Senate has presented to them successfully. But there are those who appear to have skeletons in their closet, and these are the ones that appear to be shy. They are the ones who are giving excuses. In the words of Senator Kajwang, they are the ones who appear to be, they're the ones who seem to be acting like school children who have not done their homework and who now have to come up with every conceivable excuse possible to avoid a Senate summon. But again, as Senator Kajwang has said, Senate has has oversight over the governance, over county issues. And as he has correctly said, these are not funds that belong to governors. These are not private funds. These are public funds meant for citizens of counties and meant to be used for various programs that these funds have been budgeted and allocated for. So that oversight mandate of Senate is being exercised responsibly. If there are claims, as some of these governors have alleged, of impropriety on account of some of the Senate committees, then there are proper channels to direct these complaints to. Proper channels, if at all there's merit in some of those accusations, using those proper channels, any errant senator can be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But prosecuting that matter in the court of public opinion, in my view, is just running away from their responsibilities as governors.
Let me pick from where Leo has left, Torsten, and you've worked in one of the counties closely with the governor, and you know they are supposed to appear. And yesterday, what they did, they appeared as the Council of Governors and they made these accusations. I do remember a few months ago, the head of state did say that indeed there are some errant members of parliament, you know, who are, you know, using money, you know, as a bargaining chip. You know, you need to do this, you need to do this. And he said that we are not going to name them, we are going to arrest them and prosecute them. That never happened. And yesterday, the Council of Governors coming out and, you know, talking to Kenyans and saying, you know, there are 4 governors who are always, you know, extorting us, they are harassing us. Why didn't they go to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission or even to the DCI and say, you know, this is the money that have been requested by Senator X and X, so that we may have a favorable outcome at these sessions?
Thank you very much, Ben, for the occasion to be on your show this morning. I think what is very crucial is that this country, there are certain people who treat the law as a mere suggestion. So senators are obliged by the law to conduct oversight exercises on the governors of all the 47 counties. And there's nowhere in the law that the law says that these governors can be oversighted in a manner that so pleases them. So they are entitled to appear before the Senate committees and state their case. It's usually done in the open, and you're free to express yourself and say what exactly you have. So number two, even the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. So once you've been given a budget for an entire county, then it goes without saying that we expect a lot of responsibility from you. We expect a lot of questions coming towards you. And in a similar manner, we expect answers to those questions. Thirdly is the aspect of bribery and extortion. It's not something new. This does happen, and we can all agree that in one way or another it does happen. We may not have the evidence here, but it does happen.
Yeah, even the president himself acknowledged that.
Indeed, and that is the highest authority in the country.
Yeah.
So how is it supposed to be handled if there are incidences where governors appearing before the panels are asked to give certain monies? So the first question we'd ask ourselves is, why are you asked to give money? What is the crime that you have committed that you're being told, if you pay us this much, we're going to conceal your crime? So then can we start by the governors being clean? Because one of the greatest maxims of law is that whoever appears before equity must come with clean hands. So if you're clean, you have managed county resources with prudence, then you have nothing to fear. And in case you're being extorted, then we expect as Kenyan people, you tell us by name, so-and-so asked 500,000 from me, and I felt it was totally unfair because our accounts are clear and we don't know why we should be giving them this money. Yeah. So, but if you call a whole press conference of governors, dignified governors, and you're telling us rumors that there are 4 senators we fear, I mean, that is hubris, and I think that has been the foundation of our lack of proper governance ethos, because we do not follow the right channels to address challenges we have. If these governors truly have an issue with the 4 senators or even more, they can come up in the open, name those senators, and name the bribers also, so that that matter can be dealt with and concluded. Lastly, I think governors need to understand the reason why that aspect of appearing before Senate was put into the law. It was a mechanism to help in the development of governance. So if we do not have a place where you are responsible to, then we are as well saying we leave the governors to do as they may please. That really cannot help us to develop our governance structure, because devolution is something we were trying out. So we have to have the checks and balances, and we have to have all those places where accountability is vested. So I think both parties need to come out and tell Kenyans the truth. The senators who are extorting need to be named. The governors who have issues with accountability need to be named.
And picking from where Tolsten has left, engineer, in the morning I was going through what some of sentiments by Kenyans, and somebody pointed out this could be an issue of the pot calling the kettle black, or vice versa, the kettle calling the pot black, because even the president didn't acknowledge that this is something that goes on. The senators have been accused by the governors. We know very well there were accusations during the impeachment sessions that we've had that some senators were given some money. We really need to come out clean as a country to know exactly what is happening. If at all money has been misappropriated, like we saw in the cases of Mandera, my home county of Embu, the county of, there's another county that, there were 5 million, even Wajir. The governor spent 5 million in a housewarming party for the speaker of the county.
There's another one where they spent, is it 3.5 million to put up a Christmas tree? Yeah,
a Christmas tree. We had the seedlings of 55 million in a place where we've never seen anything in that wake. I say that money, Tolson, we can use to maybe drill some borehole and water pumps.
Absolutely.
But engineer, this situation between governors and senators, I remember in 2021, we had a lot of cases on the division of revenue bill. We had cases, I covered the cases from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. And that is the last showdown that we had, a real showdown in regards to governors. The issues of corruption. Why should we go to the media to speak about corruption, yet there are agencies that are tasked with that? And even the president, the last time he said that we are not going to name them, we are going to arrest them, and of course, nothing has happened so far. So I think we should lead by example, to the point that agencies that have been tasked to do something, the county public accounts have been given the mandate. Ethics and anti-corruption have been given the mandate. DCI have been given the mandate. But we are always on social media, and the media, we are always there to highlight this.
Thank you, Troy. And I do apologize, I came late, but we are here. And to the colleagues, I think it's good to hear that we have started the year again, and having this kind of conversation. Usually, I look at the noise around such issues as good work, because from the aspect where people sit together to, to work as a team, or to correct each other, or to oversight each other, and you find smooth sail, it tells you both parties could be, engaging in some unfair deals. But when you see noise of this particular nature, it tells you one party could be doing their right mandate. And I look at the work being done by the Senate as good work, and I want to applaud them for their good work that they are doing, that they are actually pointing out issues that are coming from the county governments. You realize that, when they are looking for funds and allocations and the percentages that needs to be given to them, then there is so much lobbying that goes into it. The same needs also to come out during the accountability period, when they are called to account for the money that they've been given. It's not an individual's money, and therefore it's public money. So when they are called upon to explain or to justify processes and how money was used, then you realize that some of them are unable to answer to very simple questions, very simple processes, and they are actually unable also to even bring forth the whole system, the way procurement processes were done. I think that is where we have always had these particular issues, where 5 million is used in a party, and pens are bought at 2,000 shillings, so those kind of things. So when they come before the Senate, I think it is important to know that the Senate has gone through the documents, because you would hear at some point Senator Sifuna asking them questions like, these documents have been brought to us by yourselves and by your officers. It is prudent that you justify whatever you've provided, because questions cannot come out of documents that have not been presented. And I look at this in most cases, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption unit agency always looks at both ways. When you complain that you are being asked for bribes, then you are here. Is it that you've done it before, so that at this particular time you are not agreeing on any amount? You are equally a culprit, the giver. So I look at the governors, and I think they should get back and rethink on how they're looking at their engagement with the county, with the Senate, so that it comes out clean that whatever they're presenting before the Senate and the Kenyans are documents or records that will portray the clear procedures that have happened in the county, and they can actually be able to account for each and every shilling that they have been allocated and that has been disbursed to the county level, because the mandate that has been given to the Senate is the mandate of oversight. When money is not being used appropriately, it has to be questioned. And the Kenyans have a mandate also to know how the funds that are being disbursed to the counties are being used. And I talk like this because I know under the infrastructure programs, most of the counties have not spent the money properly in terms of road systems, in terms of hospitals, in terms of water distribution to the common mwananchi. These things are not happening. Reason why they are not happening is because money has been diverted into areas which are not important to the people on the ground. And therefore, when the Senate comes out to ask difficult questions, they need to answer if they are actually doing the right thing that they were mandated to do by the electorates.
Well said, because it kind of brings back the memories. You do remember when we started devolution, I think in 2013, when we had wheelbarrows costing 100,000.
Yes.
And we have never actually known exactly what happened to that case. And the governor is still there. Talking about Governor Lusaka, if you remember. But away from that, gentlemen, let's delve a little bit deeper into what exactly the MPs will be, their entry, because of the interest of time. And we'll be keeping tabs of what the showdown between the governors and the senators actually happened, because the governors, some of them were saying that we will not attend. And remember, it's a constitutional mandate. Now, let's go back to the head of state. Did mention that we have a road to Singapore endeavor. Leo, I'm looking at the 5 trillion shillings infrastructure and sovereign wealth funds. MPs are set to debate that when they resume. And what are some of the opportunities and also some of the risk, both economically and politically? Why I'm saying about politically, when you tell Kenyans that we need to do A, B, C, D, it might rub you the wrong way politically if you're a political leader. So we are looking at the road to Singapore that will be actualized, according to the president, by the 5 trillion shillings infrastructure and sovereign wealth funds. What are some of the opportunities and risks, both economically and politically as well?
Thank you, Ben. I think it's a step in the right direction because when you look at countries that have progressed and have taken care of their citizenry, many of these countries have sovereign wealth funds. I mean, you look at Kuwait, who have a sovereign wealth fund, and a lot of other countries where when you have national resources, you channel them into this fund for the betterment of the people. They become an investment arm of the country for the betterment of the people. So for me, it's a step in the right direction. Particularly when you consider that the fact that the country has some assets that are now reaching maturity. For instance, Safaricom is a national asset, yes, and it has gotten to maturity. And the best way now to take care of it, or the best way to get the most out of it, is to divest the government's shareholding in Safaricom and to put that money in either that infrastructure fund or the sovereign wealth fund. And for me, one of the rationale that I see about the infrastructure fund and that impresses me is the fact that as a country, our focus now is in public-private partnerships. And a lot of these public-private partnerships need some seed capital from the government as a measure of seriousness of the government in investment. And the proposal is to get this seed capital from the infrastructure fund that is being set up, so that investors now can have the confidence of coming on board, knowing that the government is also involved in whatever project that they want to do. The government has a piece of the pie. The government has a piece of the action, so to speak, and it indicates seriousness on the part of the government. Yeah, so it's a step in the right direction. Some think it's ambitious, but I say you'd rather be ambitious, aim for the sun and reach the moon, than stay put and do nothing at all and continue wallowing in the same set of problems that have bedeviled the country for generations.
Alenga and Mwamba, I'm quite sure if you guys make it to Parliament, maybe next year or when you decide to be politicians, this is something that will also be close to your heart, because we are not getting the 5 trillion in the next 1 or 2 months. And you do remember when we started out the issue of Safaricom, it has brought about both, condemnations and both applause as well. MPs are set to debate it, and also, as Kenyans, we also weigh in on that before a decision is finally made. I would like to pick your mind in regards to the Sovereign and Infrastructure Fund.
I think as a country, we have a culture where we are not really good at saving. So when an idea such as that is floated, then it definitely rubs people the wrong way, even as citizens. And the previous governments also, we have been living just the same way. We are a fuliza economy. You borrow, you spend, you borrow again, you spend, you borrow, you service a date. So if there is an idea on the table that sort of establishes a sovereign fund that ensures that we get money from ourselves to do our own development, so that when we are constructing a road, we are not constructing a road that we will now start paying for the next 30 years. When we are constructing a bridge, we know we are not owing someone in a different country money because we erected a bridge for our own people. So for me, the idea of the sovereign fund is a fantastic idea. However, I think the discussion should dwell on the mechanisms to ensure that there is prudent use of these funds, first of all. The parliamentarians have a responsibility to structure out a clear structure in terms of the management of this fund. They should enact laws that, clearly stipulate who is responsible for these funds and how they can be expended, so that we do not find ourselves getting into a problem later and asking ourselves, we had this amount of money here, we cannot find it. Those gaps that could maybe lead to corruption is we understand our society. We are always looking for something to steal. That one who is not stealing has not found something to steal. And so we are not really people of integrity. So we need to secure that integrity gap with the parliamentarians rising up. I expect when they'll be debating this motion, they can also highlight and make amendments in that act, so that the law comes out very clear with no ambiguity in terms of management of this asset, this sovereign fund, in terms of the issue of signatories. Who is really responsible for this? Where do the collections go? And what are the structures for getting money out of this fund? So if those ones are sorted, I do not think there's a problem with us having a sovereign fund that relieves us from our dependence on foreign markets for lending. I think that's a good step in the right direction. But more importantly, this sovereign fund discussion brings out another serious discussion on the issues of the road to Singapore. The road to Singapore is not going to be an easy road. It's going to be a road full of sacrifices, hard decisions. And as you know, our society, we turn over every decision that comes on the table. We litigate every aspect of our living. So it's imperative for the ruling party or those who are in power today to make these structures very clear, so that Kenyans understand and they onboard the train, so that Kenyans do not bring questions later and these questions now act as a stumbling block in terms of realizing that vision that we have. So that road requires a lot of serious decision making. It requires a lot of public awareness and sensitization. Then it requires partnership from the population, because many a times our governments don't understand that they require a partnership with the people. They think they create the product, they push it to the people, but there has to be a relationship and a partnership, so that when an idea comes, the people say, that one we understand and we are ready to be part of it. So I think at decision-making level, then we should map out the key stakeholders perfectly, so that they all are brought to speed with our deliberations towards Singapore.
And the reason I gave an example of you guys being leaders is because we do remember what happened after the passing of the finance the affordable housing levy. You know, backlash. MPs, you know, there are some MPs that people were so against because, you know, you voted for that. And we do remember what happened after the housing one was the finance bill of 2024. MPs, some of the MPs are having backlash to this day. You know, that is why I was asking in regards to this, as MPs, you know, go to Parliament, and for the last session before we enter the electioneering year, how can it affect them, both economically, as a country, it's going to affect us economically, whether in a good way or maybe in a way that we need to do more, and also politically, we saw what happened because of political decisions in regards to the finance bill of 2024.
All right, thank you, Troy. What we are talking about here is a very critical, element that we need to demystify to the country. You look at the bills. I'll start from the infrastructure fund that we are talking about. It's a very good idea for this country to have established that fund, and my colleague here has talked about the framework around the management of that particular bill. That's a story for another day, because it needs to be waterproof, watertight, such that, or airtight, that's what I would say, so that there are no leakages in terms of corruption and loss of funds. It must be structured in a way that at the end of the day, when money comes out, it's structured, can be traced and tracked, and you get to the end where this has actually done this particular project. Then once that is done, then we will be at a position now to call ourselves, we are actually on the road to Singapore. Because that Singapore also needs to be defined. It has to be defined clearly in terms of health sector, the infrastructure sector, what are we talking about, housing sector, you know, agricultural sector, mining sector, because we have a lot of minerals in this country. We need to define the road to Singapore. What is that Singapore that we are talking about?
So MPs should be objective as they
of course,
as they debate.
They have to be very objective. And I want to bring us back to even the affordable housing program or levy that was passed in 2024. Currently, we have our MPs grappling with the infrastructure, that is the housing, to be established or to be built within their constituencies. Why? Because this thing offers job opportunities for the locals. It offers an opportunity that the manufacturers can be able to produce more goods so that are used within this country. And that tells you, like, even the returns that are going to the tax collection, it goes up when they are sales. And I want to say this, the fear that most of our MPs had was movement of population, because that was a selfish interest, where a housing unit or a housing program has been allocated for that particular region, and you want to bring on board, or you bring in over 2,000 individuals into that section. Are they going to be the original settlers within that region, or these are going to be people from outside into that particular constituency? And it has really brought a lot of heat, such that their location is now going to be another hit in the future, where who are these people coming into my constituency? And as MPs are going into the electioneering year that we are in, and it's going to be next year, so the board needs to be very clear, because again, it is open that you can be able to get these houses as you apply on Boma Yangu. You can be able to apply anywhere, So that movement of population, how is it going to be managed, so that as politicians and as we go out to the people, who are these people that we are going to deal with? Are they voters that are being moved away? Then we start managing it from that particular point. However, when we come back now to the purpose for which these establishments were done, you realize there are very good programs that are supposed to be embraced by the society, because it changes the lives of the people. In as much as now it's a capital intensive project, but it is going to change actually the lives of the people. My always challenge that has always been, even in this platform, at the corruption levels, that we need to have proper framework and structures to stop corruption, and we need to come up with laws that are very punitive for those who are going to be involved in the corruption, around the programs that are there. When it comes to the sovereignty funds and infrastructure fund, I just want to mention one thing that also he had talked about. You know, this country has been in debt for a very long time, and it is one thing that has been passed from generation to generation. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I was saying that this fund is quite important, it's because if a country can be able to borrow internally at a cheaper or a lower interest rate, then the money or the funds that are within the fund kitty will be able to grow through those interests, and at the same time, if we will not be having heavy timelines that draw so much from the treasury or from the exchequer, and therefore it's a good program that needs to be embraced and needs to be sold to the people, that the partnership that we're talking about here, the citizens are actually aware of the purpose for which this thing is established, and actually they will be able to see that our people are benefiting from the fund that they have participated in. Let us not have, as from the institution and as an engineer, I would say, if we are involved in the number of dams that we are going to have, mega dams and the small dams that we are having, the roads, in the water sector, agricultural sector, let us have our own people being engaged in these programs in terms of delivery, so that we ensure that we have the funds remaining in the country in circulation. That is how economies are grown, and we will see the Singapore that we are talking about.
Yes, and indeed, the reason actually I brought up that issue, because the MPs have a full entry on their table, is because we're talking about 5 trillion. Yeah. We've never had any project bigger than that. Even our budget has never hit 5 trillion. So Kenyans our eyes will be glued also at the MPs as well, because they have 3 cardinal duties: representation, legislation, and also oversight. So this is something that is very critical, bearing in mind that it is something that a president is very keen on. Gentlemen, because of the interest of time, allow me just to give you a time to, from your own perspective, what is the entry for MPs, especially for representation as well?
There's quite a bit. Let me sum it up. We have electoral bills and proposals. That's part of the entry.
Yeah, just a minute. My director informs me that we need to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be wrapping it up and see what our MPs need to be doing when they go back to the August House. Remember, this is the last session before we gear up to the electioneering year. We have 18 months to the general election. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to KBC News Check. We're on the tail end of this conversation. We have been looking at the entry for the members of parliament. Remember, the Senate and the National Assembly reopening today for the final session before we enter the year 2027. That is the electioneering period. So a lot is on their entry, including we have been having a showdown between governors and senators, which we are keeping tabs. We'll be getting back to Abdiaziz Hashim a little bit later on, before midday, to know exactly what has been happening. And indeed, because some of the governors say they will not be appearing at the County Public Accounts Committee to answer to audit queries. But gentlemen, Leonard Kafafa, Torsten Alenga, and also Engineer Jackton Achieng Mwamba, from your own perspective, what exactly are the MPs looking at, and what should they be prioritizing now?
Yeah, there are a number of things. Actually, their entry is full. The first, of course, is the electoral bills and proposals.
Yes.
To do with elections, like election offences, Amendment Bill of 2024. The election, there's one that is sponsored by Senate, actually, itself. Then there are political parties amendment bills, basically to imbue a sense of internal democracy within political parties. Then, of course, there are constitutional amendment proposals as well, in terms of limits for elected officials to prevent this aspect of dynasties, occupying certain political positions for ages on end. And then, of course, we have the 2/3 gender principle that needs to be enacted in law properly, as in need this clarity that needs to be put around that, so that it is effected, and possibly by increasing the number of nominated seats, nominated MPs. Then there's a whole lot, IEBC reconstitution amendment, which has to deal with the the new selection panel for commissioners, so that we don't have crises like we've had in the past.
Yeah.
So those are some of those things. Of course, there is the budget, starting with the budget policy statement, which has to be debated, and which has to be by law presented before Parliament by the 15th of February every year. Then from that, from budget policy statement, we have other aspects of the budget, like a division of a revenue bill, which talks about the division of revenue between counties and the national government. Then we also have county allocation of revenue bill, which is how counties are going to get whatever has been allocated to counties, how it is going to be cascaded down to all the 47 counties. Then we have the nomination of key officials. Of course, I think the one that is very visible is the vetting of the nomination of Ida Odinga for her UNEP role as Kenya's permanent representative to the UN. Now, these are all important, but I think there are other crucial aspects that the president may want to, or rather the parliament may want to focus on because of the president's agenda. For example, the building of the new airport, which the president has alluded to. He says construction of a new airport should start in 2026. And of course, this needs parliamentary approval so that we preclude the mistakes that were made during the Adani proposal, where the proposal was, first of all, discussed with the different stakeholders before being presented to Parliament, which is the reverse of what should have happened. So I think the president should be very keen to ensure that we do this airport, because if we don't do it, we have competition from our neighbors up north, that is Ethiopia, who are building a 6 billion shilling facility that could take away a lot of traffic from Nairobi. We also have competition from next to Rwanda. We're also putting up a 2 billion shilling facility. So there's urgency in putting up this airport and in discussing this. Alongside that, alongside the airport, of course, you cannot build a mega infrastructure of the airport, of that kind of airport size, without sorting out the anchor tenant. The anchor tenant in this case is Kenya Airways. I see Parliament debating a way out for Kenya Airways, because by and large they've gotten their act right over the last 6 or so years in terms of operational efficiency and that sort of thing. What they do need now is finance to be able to move that airport, to move that airline to the next level. And I see the government stepping in, because Kenya Airways is a national asset. It's a strategic national asset that has to be built alongside the airport, has to be supported alongside the airport. So those are the crucial things that I see Parliament preoccupied with in the coming days.
Alenga, because of the interest of time, without going deeper into what Leo has really outlined, there are some issues that have been dogging Kenyans, and I'm looking at those Kenyans who are being killed in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This is something that should be raised, because some of the rogue agents are really sending our kids to die there. And also the grade 10 learners. We're talking about, I remember CS Ogamba saying we are in the 90%, but let's be honest, a lot of grade 10 learners have not joined secondary school.
A very important point, especially the grade 10 transition, which I truly think it's something that needs to be worked on between the ministry and also the parents and guardians, because you have been preparing your child for the last 8 years, 9 years. So clearly, when you reach a level where a parent is saying they cannot even buy their child, sanitary towels, very, very, very basic things. So you wonder how the government should actually come in and foot these very basic things. Can we agree to meet at a point where maybe the parent does this, shows their level of sacrifice up to this point, then the government can pick up from there, so that the issue of educating our children becomes a collective responsibility, not an issue of pointing fingers. And then lastly, I think what is also more crucial is the rampant strikes that we are having in this country, the industrial strikes. Number one, one, we are having the aviation notice for their strike that is coming up. It's not a good thing, especially when we are struggling to scale up our aviation industry so that it reflects what is happening in the entire East African corridor. Also, we have the clinical officers strike that has been going on for very long, and it's a responsibility that falls at the hands and at the doors of the governors. Can these governors sit with these clinical officers and iron out the issues that are in place, because this affects the patients, it doesn't affect the government. And also the national government can come in also to see that this issue of the prolonged and repetitive clinical officers strikes is sorted out once and for all. Because a normal Kenyan on the street looks at the Ministry of Health. A normal Kenyan does not, an ordinary Kenyan does not understand which is a devolved function, which is not a devolved function. So if the governors are now taking responsibility, then I think it's time the national government comes in, they work together, they find a lasting solution so that our patients in these facilities, especially in Nairobi County, can get health care that reflects what the Constitution wants.
Okay, you wrap it up, Mwamba.
Two things. Education system. Education for the transitioned grade 10. I would wish that the government now talks about disbursement or release of books to the schools. This is 1 month into the school opening. Most of schools have not received the books, and let them be sufficient, because we have the highest numbers that have been registered. It's a new thing for Kenya. We need these books to go to school so that teachers can be able to effectively carry out their duty, because it's also new to them. They are learning in the process. In terms of agriculture, we know the weather condition has been bad, and I don't know how, is the government really ready for any, an eventuality that may be able to come due to the dry spell that has been there. I know the rains, they are projected rains, but are the crops ready? Are we ready to ensure that we cushion Kenyans from adverse effects of the poor weather? These are things that the MPs need to come out and also have a proactive approach to avert disaster that may strike this country.
Thank you. Engineer Jackton Achieng Mwamba, who is a governance and policy expert and also a honorary secretary at the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. We have just next to him Tolsten Alenga, who is the public policy expert, and same as Leonard Kafafa just next to me. The gentlemen, thank you so much indeed for your time and for your insight. Let's see how our MPs pick it up now